Oh my gosh, have you been to Marshall's lately? They have all the brand name and designer pieces you love, but without the jaw-dropping price tags. All right, so here's the truth. You should never have to compromise between quality and price. And at Marshall's, you don't have to. Marshall's believes everyone deserves access to the good stuff. And that's why their buyers hustle around the clock to make it happen for you. Visit a Marshall's store near you or shop online at marshalls.com.
Always so fresh, delicious, and nutritious, Eggland's Best Eggs fuel the body with 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat compared to ordinary eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
I'm Scott Hansen, host of NFL Red Zone. Lowe's knows Sundays hit different when you earn them. We've got you covered with outdoor power equipment from Cobalt and everything you need to weatherproof your deck with Trex decking. Plus, with lawn care from Scott's and, of course, Pit Boss grills and accessories, you can get a home field advantage all season long. So get to Lowe's, get it done, and earn your Sunday. Lowe's, official partner of the NFL.
Carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
And welcome back to Micro Queers. It's our sporadic queer horror movie review, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are covering João Pedro Rodrigues' 2000 porno film, O Fantasma. O Fantasma, for its 25th anniversary.
Indeed we are, yes. This is definitely one that I have programmed for us, although I should note that we did get a patron request for this back in the day. I think it was last year when we asked folks if there was a specific title they might like us to cover in the future, and somebody did mention this, and it reminded me that it had an anniversary coming up, so thank you for that person.
Yes, and see, everyone, if you sign up to be a patron, you get things like this, a movie I've never heard of, and a director or an auteur I've never heard of, and when we started doing some little research into this, I was like, wow, this is, I mean, maybe not prolific, but this guy's got, a type of film he likes to make.
There we go. Yes. It's always nice to dip your toe back into international cinema too, right? Because you never know what you might discover. But I appreciate you acknowledging this is unsimulated sex.
Yeah.
We're going to have a bit of a debate or a discussion about whether this film opens with a sexual assault. So there's definitely some confronting material. But folks, this film is widely available to watch if you live in the U.S. I think you said it's on Tubi, right, Trace?
Yes, I watched this on Tubi, and I did not know walking into it was going to be unsimulated sex, and so it wasn't until we got the actual full frontal nudity from our lead actor, Ricardo Meneses, that I was like, oh, yeah. This is also 2000. I don't think we're really doing prosthetics at this point.
No, definitely was not a popular thing. And, I think you can quibble, maybe that isn't the right word, but this is a non-professional actor. It was 300 people auditioned for this part, and this guy was apparently number one. I mean, he was literally the first person who auditioned, but also the number one choice of our director. And it was kind of cool, you came from a farm, you're here in the big city. Folks, this is a Portuguese film. So yes, he came to the big city of Lisbon, and then it was cool, you're going to be able to get hard, right? On screen?
Yes. And I did call this a porno, but this is the short bus kind of porno where it's an act. Oh God, I don't want to say an actual film. Yeah, it's an art film with unsimulated sex, but it's not really I saw some reviews call this a jack-off film because I guess back in the day, this really circulated gay film festivals a lot, obviously, and anyone who watched it. There is a hotness to this film, but there's also a gross
discomfort.
A seedy underbelly all over this film.
Absolutely. Okay, but Trace, I'm not going to pretend that most people know what the fuck this movie is, so can you read us out the log line, please?
Yes. So, O Fantasma, or The Phantom, young and handsome Sérgio, played by Ricardo Meneses, works the night shift as a trash collector in Lisbon. He is uninterested in his pretty female co-worker Fatima, played by Beatriz Torquato, who displays an avid interest in him. So instead, Sérgio roams the city. Eventually, he becomes fascinated with an arrogant and indifferent motorcycle owner, João, played by Andre Barbosa. And Sergio's desires unleash his darkest impulses, sending him down a dangerous path of violence, depravity, and degradation. And basically, y'all, we're just kind of following Sergio from sexual exploit to sexual exploit as they get more and more twisted.
Yeah, this isn't a conventional horror film in the way that, you know, he doesn't lose his mind. He doesn't, well, God, even as I say that, right?
He becomes more feral and animalistic.
Yes.
So it's like he almost devolves into like his most primal instincts. And in this case, actually, I do want to read this. I found a piece on Art Forum, and they kind of give like a summary of the director's kind of first 3 films and kind of what his MO is. So,
okay.
Let me just say this. So, the movies of João Pedro Rodrigues might be seen as attempts to film the unfilmable. Their ineffable subject is desire in all its guises and disguises.
Ooh.
And their modus operandi is to follow that desire to its logical or illogical ends. In each of his 3 features, so we have 2000's O Fantasma, a garbage man with a raging libido, prowling Lisbon's nighttime netherworld for anonymous sex. We have 2005's Two Drifters, about a troubled young woman dreaming of motherhood, convinced she's carrying the child of a dead gay man.
Oh, wow.
And 2009's To Die Like a Man, in which an aging drag queen who has devoted her adult life to the impersonation of womanhood bumps up against the hard facts of biology, which again, drag queen, maybe that's actually a trans narrative now.
Interesting, yeah.
But basically, the Portuguese filmmaker has focused on a character defined by an all-consuming hunger. And in this case, it's hunger for sex.
Sex, yes. And it's not anonymous, although we're definitely not opposed to that. So we do see, as you mentioned, several sex scenes throughout the course of the film, but Sergio also becomes completely enraptured with this motorcycle guy. So basically, he gets hired to take out this man's trash, like, you know, hey, come by, I've got a bunch of shit that needs clearing out. And then he develops this obsession where, you know, he goes back in the evening and rifles through this guy's trash, and he finds a discarded swimsuit that he then proceeds to wear, jack off. He follows this guy to the pool so that he can watch him swim, confronts him in a change room. He hangs out outside his window and watches him while he's on the computer. And then this culminates into some scary behavior when Sergio actually breaks into this guy's house, handcuffs him, drags him outside, and you very much get the impression that he would have liked to have stolen him away, maybe had sex with him, maybe sexually assaulted him. And instead, as you said, because he's becoming increasingly more animalistic and feral, he ends up getting spooked. And of course, where do wild dogs go, Trace? But the dump.
Yeah, I saw this described as literal trash cinema, and that is apt. And I this is a movie, I mean, again, you kind of said art house, and that is definitely what this is. And it's a film that I don't think one viewing does it justice, but I also didn't immediately want to jump back in to rewatch this. Because this, I mean, it's not too long. It's about 95 minutes, but it tested my patience often. I was no less fascinated, even though I didn't really altogether know exactly
what is this movie saying, doing, what is happening.
Or even Sergio.
Because it makes it sound like there is a fairly streamlined plot. But folks, that is us distilling it. There's huge passages of this film with no dialogue. You have no idea what Sergio is really thinking or feeling, except for his desire for this man and maybe for anonymous dick. But like, the film is challenging in that regard because you're just like you're constantly trying to force a narrative and characterization onto it, and it's really not about that.
Yeah, I think it's allegorical, but I couldn't really tell you what the allegory is.
So I did see some people speculating that this is a political but also a class-based critique on the way that we approach people who are working like minimum wage jobs, people who are not as educated, kind of living on the margins in a big city like Lisbon. Like, I've been to Lisbon. It's an absolutely stunning and gorgeous city.
Oh, you wouldn't know it based on looking at this.
If you watch this movie, you'd be like, Lisbon kind of looks like a trash dumpster fire. Like, it's all shot at night. It's seedy. It's a little grungy and gross. Like, it is. It's filled with trash. I rebuffed that, it's trash cinema. But the reality is that we are dealing with a lot of trash and maybe some trashy people.
It's literal, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting in that regard because it also feels like we're telling very different narratives than what you would traditionally see about one of the prettiest cities in Europe. So I like the idea that we're looking at the underbelly, like the seedy underside of a very popular, well-respected, internationally renowned cuisine. This is not the Lisbon you're getting, and this is the story of somebody who is not typically featured in a film.
Exactly. So I guess then, Joe, before we kind of get into some of our hot topics here, would you recommend this? Well, maybe I'll offer some clarifiers. Who would you recommend this movie to?
Right. Yeah, that's a better question. I'm not going to pretend that this is a film for everybody. I think the fact that you admitted you struggled with it a little bit is probably a very real take. Like, people are going to watch this and say, this maybe isn't for me. I watched this when I was still in the closet, and I was just kind of like, oh, I like world cinema. So I'm watching movies from other countries that definitely have full frontal nudity. So this was kind of an important film to me in the early 2000s when I first checked it out. Like, folks, the cover art alone is pretty provocative. It's Sergio licking the wall of a public shower.
Which...
Yeah. Oh, gross, but also hot and sexy, kinky. Yeah,
absolutely.
Also that. So I would recommend this movie. I think it's a curiosity, even if you just want to check out part of it, because it's readily available to a lot of folks. I think it's worth checking out.
Yeah, I do too. But again, I don't know who I would recommend this to, unless I guess maybe just a bunch of other gay men, really.
Yeah.
But I won't forget it. Like, this is a movie I will remember, if only because it's one of those things where I didn't know what to expect going in. So what I got, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie that literally opens with a man in a leather fetish outfit, like full body, is having sex, possibly sexually assaulting a man wearing handcuffs. But we're also focusing on the fact that the ass of this pouch is fully zipped open. So you're like, so he's fucking this person, maybe against their will, but it also looks like he is ready to receive. And the whole last act of the film is Sergio wearing this outfit, running around the city, often on all fours. And you're just like, okay, these are some really striking images.
Yeah, it is very striking. I'm glad that you kind of mentioned the uncertainty with the opening scene, because I didn't read it as a rape when I watched it, because I was just like, oh, like leather suit, kinky sex. This is kind of like rough sex. Yeah. But I can see, because there is a kidnapping involved, and so it's kind of like, well, maybe it is sexual assault. And the film doesn't give you really any kind of clarifiers or make this any clearer to you. So I find that simultaneously fascinating and frustrating, which is going to be my refrain throughout most of this recording. But
I was going to say, I feel like that's your thesis for this mini episode, right? Is, oh, it could be interesting. It is interesting, but it's also a little frustrating because the film really does hold us at a distance, like to the point where when I was actually taking notes, trying to critically evaluate this film for this rewatch, I was like, is this even, like, is the film non-linear? When does this scene take place? Because it actually looks very similar to the moment near the end of the film when he breaks into Joao's house. So this is the motorcycle guy, and he like locks him up. It feels like that's actually happening within his house, maybe to his roommate, but we've never seen a roommate before. We haven't seen the layout of his place. So you're like, so is the opening scene actually set later on in the film, and we're doubling back or building up to it, and it's completely unclear.
And if I wanted to really try to like put like a traditional narrative on this, it could be, no, this is linear. This is just like maybe like the João guy is just the next line in his obsession, but maybe the guy we're seeing him have sex with or rape in the first scene is the one that's before João. Because
also completely possible.
We don't see him in this leather this gimp suit, basically. Except for the climax of the film and then this opening. So it maybe is kind of like a cycle he goes through, but he goes through his less abrasive sexual encounters, but then once he finds an object of obsession, then that's when the gimp suit comes out.
Could totally see it.
But I have no idea.
Don't know. Okay, well, why don't we talk about some of this sex and the sexuality? Because as you mentioned, like, there's a number of sex scenes. They are unsimulated. You said that they were hot. Elaborate.
I mean, okay, like he gives some guy, I think it's a cop actually, who has his mouth taped shut, gives him a hand job in the back seat of his car. But then that wasn't even the hot part. The part that I thought was hot later, so he, gives him a hand job. He flicks his hand to get the cum off of it, and then later goes to work and smells his hand.
Yeah, it's funny. I just rewatched Moonlight for The Queer Gaze, which is the podcast where I look at queer media with Conrad from Movie Oubliette. And there's an almost identical scene in that film, except that we're talking Oscar winner. So, it's really in the way that you present it, huh?
And unsimulated sex also.
Wow,
but yes.
That too. Yes.
But I mean, there's a scene where he takes the motorcycle gloves of João out of his trash and he goes home. I thought he was going to jack off with them, which maybe he does eventually, but we just see him rubbing them all over his body. So, there's an eroticism to a lot of this that I actually found separate from the sex scenes.
Indeed. Yeah. Like it's fetish, it's kink. I like the fact that we're acknowledging that things can just turn you on and sometimes you want to feel sexy. Like I had this really provocative through line with the stolen Speedo. So, the object of our obsession is a swimmer. So when he finds the discarded Speedo in the trash, he tries it on and I was like, oh, okay, like, who among us has not fantasized about putting on somebody else's underwear, having a good time and so on. But it also feels like it's not just a sex object. It's like, is it impersonation? Does he want to be this person? Does he want to be with this person?
I think at the end of the day, that's kind of my ultimate issue with the film. And I get that it's intentional, but I don't know anything about Sergio or his motivations or what he's thinking. And there's no window into his soul outside of the sex scenes that we're seeing and the obsessive behavior that we are seeing. And
yeah, we should note that the film has a 25% rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It's only from 19 reviews, but I went through a bunch of them. Many of them are dead links at this point because, of course, we hate media and all of those sites have died. But the ones I could access, a lot of them really complained about the fact that we just don't know anything about this character. So it feels like a sexual exercise. And I'll admit, I can't deny that. It doesn't bother me, to borrow your favorite quote, because in part, I'm just so along for the ride. Like, this movie is very visceral. It's about feeling, being almost held captive in Sergio's odyssey for sexual gratification, but also he's fucking spinning out. But I kind of enjoy the fact that the film doesn't try to explain what is going on with him. It's just like, no, get on board with it.
That's the thing. This is not a character study. And so while I can say, yes, I'm totally frustrated with that, I can't really be bothered by it because it is so clearly intentional on Rodriguez's part. So then I have to ask myself, well, why is it intentional? Why doesn't he want us to know more about it? And that's, again, where I think the allegory comes in. Like, we're following Sergio, but he's not the point.
Mm-hmm. And don't you think it's interesting that we are engaging, like, he goes to his job. He has multiple infractions or interactions with the police, although they're always coded sexual.
One of them explicitly so. Like, we actually see this cop have a boner in his pants.
Yeah, and Sergio kind of, half pulls his shirt out and looks the crotch and so on. But then you get the impression that only one of the police officers wants to be involved with this. So when his partner comes back, he just leaves Sergio, handcuff and all.
Yeah.
I love how there's this element of, parts of the film feel as if they're not even taking place in reality. And we're so closely aligned with Sergio, it feels like we're living through his experiences. Like, we're so intrinsically aligned with what he's doing that it doesn't even feel like the real world anymore. And yet he's so clearly just, he works night shifts at this regular job and he's got a coworker who wants to fuck him and he's not interested and he's maybe being sexually molested by his boss. We don't know. It's so interesting how, in some ways, it's a very mundane existence, but then this guy's also completely living outside of the norms of society.
Oh, absolutely. It's very, very, very transgressive. And I love that you mentioned it. This doesn't feel like the real world because I found this. So, the closing credits of this film are accompanied by Alan Vega's rendition of Dream Baby Revisited, which apparently is just meant to, in the lyrics of the song, it's all a dream. It's kind of what is repeated over and over and over and over. And so, I mean, I don't know if I would say that this movie is Sergio's dream, but it's certainly a fever dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I love that the movie ends with that high level of uncertainty, right? You know, we just see him crawling around at the dump and you think, okay, he's eating trash. He's drinking really disgusting looking, probably bad for him water. Like I think we see him get ill and then he just kind of scurries away to what?
I actually think too, we should have mentioned there is animal abuse in this movie, like the way he holds a rabbit and kind of flings it around. God, like I don't think it dies. I don't think it does, but it is.
Or it was already dead? Question mark.
I mean, no, it's definitely alive when he picks it up. But I was a little shocked by that. But yeah, and then it ended, and I was just kind of like, oh, that's it. Like this is over.
Yep. There's no offer of resolution. It doesn't feel final at all. Like we could have ended the movie 10 minutes earlier and maybe had the exact same experience. It's just, this is where the movie ends. This is where the story is done. And you very much get the impression that Sergio just continues, I guess. Because
it's just him walking off into the distance. Where is he going? We don't know. I don't think he's going back to his regular life. I think he is shifted realities here, and he is just like a literal trash person.
Yeah, like maybe he lives at the dump now in the suit.
Possibly.
Permanently.
Or he's going to die from that infection he got from that water.
Or the heat.
Heat, yeah.
Lisbon is fucking hot, and he's not drinking water, and he's in that suit just
I was going to say, like, he must smell so bad.
Oh, terrible. Yeah.
But
I don't know. I mean, this film, I think, is so interesting. I was actually really happy that you agreed to kind of throw me a bone and let me have a brief conversation about it. I thought to myself, you know what? We probably could have done a full-length episode and really tried to unpack it. But then when I rewatched it, I realized, no, I think this is actually a really good film for a micro-queers because we can highlight it. We can encourage people to check it out. There is some interesting stuff to analyze here, but also it's just such a weird little movie.
Yeah, it's a film that I think you could easily have a 3-hour conversation about, but...
Or a 20-minute conversation.
Or a 20-minute conversation about. And so, yeah, I guess I throw this out to listeners, you know. If y'all did check this out in preparation for this, or because you listened to this, I don't know, let us know your thoughts, your reads on this, because I admit I am a little perplexed, but I am also intrigued.
There we go. Yeah. The nature of film.
But yeah, everyone, so that's our surprise micro-queers of the month. So until we decide to do this again, we can cross out O Fantasma.
Indeed. And cross out micro-queers.
Oh my gosh, have you been to Marshall's lately? They have all the brand name and designer pieces you love, but without the jaw-dropping price tags. All right, so here's the truth. You should never have to compromise between quality and price. And at Marshall's, you don't have to. Marshall's believes everyone deserves access to the good stuff. And that's why their buyers hustle around the clock to make it happen for you. Visit a Marshall's store near you or shop online at marshalls.com.
Nothing brings us together like Eggland's best eggs. Always so fresh and delicious, plus superior nutrition like 6 times more vitamin D, 10 times more vitamin E, and 25% less saturated fat compared to ordinary eggs. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
Did you know 39% of teen drivers admit to texting while driving? Even scarier, those who text are more likely to speed and run red lights. Shockingly, 94% know it's dangerous but do it anyway. As a parent, you can't always be in the car, but you can stay connected to their safety with Greenlight Infinity's driving reports. Monitor their driving habits, see if they're using their phone, speeding, and more. These reports provide real data for meaningful conversations about safety. Plus, with weekly updates, you can track their progress over time. Help keep your teens safe. Sign up for Greenlight Infinity at greenlight.com/podcast.